Tomorrow at noon, the curtain closes on 4 long years of American decline, and we begin a brand new day of American strength and prosperity, dignity and pride. Bringing it all back.
Well, unless the Democrats can slam the brakes on and stop all that from happening, because as we know, they're not on our side. Well. John Philip Sousa. It's Inauguration Day in America. Happy Inauguration Day, everyone. Happy Inauguration Day. Got a thing or two going on in Washington, D.C. and beyond. President Trump has a lot to do. All kinds of amazing things this morning. Already happened at St. John's Church. Happening now. The church service with President Trump, Vice President Vance, at the beautiful historic church across from the White House, the Yellow Church, St. John's Church, the Church of the Presidents. The Democrats, through an anonymous source, said that today they wouldn't try to burn it down like the last time when they started a fire in the basement and they were attacking the White House for days. It was an insurrection, but it was the good kind of insurrection. It was the Democrat Party's insurrection, attacking the White House and the president because he was an established authority. Look up the word insurrection. And President Trump at St. John's, the vice president incoming, Vance at the church service at St. John's across from the White House. And no arson, I think, that we've spotted so far. Because, they love burning things, especially churches, Democrats. Whereas the last guy they had blow himself up in a Tesla truck, that was in front of a Trump hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. He killed himself, like one of those Irish skirts. He killed himself real good. We have a lot of things going on. We got some moving parts going on today, too. It's unclear exactly, as of now, according to various news organizations, what the schedule of events will be this morning. But we're going to keep our ear to the ground on that and our eyes peeled. That means our eyelids will be open, so we'll be watching what's going on there. But in the meantime, Joe Biden today, with the Biden organized crime family, the criminal enterprise that is the Biden family, $27 million from foreign entities, no declaration by way of the FARA Act, just Foreign Agents Registration Act. But the Biden family, I think they're all foreign agents, I think. You look at all their income. Now, amazingly, Joe Biden has not pardoned his brother James as of the last time we looked. And we're trying to figure out why. How can that be? James was involved in all these business enterprises and took in all kinds of money from foreign entities. And you got to look at brother James. I'm thinking maybe some kind of a childhood grudge that Joe Biden is still carrying against his brother James. He's the only one to not get a pardon because this morning we awoke to discover that Joe Biden had perpetrated another mass felony, pardoning everybody that committed crimes, on behalf of the Democrat Party. The January 6th committee, the members, and I guess it's every one of them because they just say very generally, oh, yeah, we're pardoning January 6th committee members. And it's like, you mean all of them? Well, of course, all of them, numbskull. Well, are we just going to pardon some of them? We're even going to pardon Liz Cheney. We're going to pardon everybody. Everybody's pardoned. And the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the top general in the United States of America, thoroughly modern Milley, Mark Milley over there, he gets a pardon. And the media, they're calling it a preemptive pardon. Now, a preemptive pardon would be a pardon before you commit the crime, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that? Because it's preemptive, before any charges might emerge for the crimes that you've committed. But why would you need a pardon if you hadn't committed any crimes? Hey, I haven't committed any crimes, but could I get a pardon like your son got for 10 years, for the last 10 years? Actually, I don't really need one for the last 10 years of behavior. I'd like to get one for the next 10 years. Could I just get a pardon for the next 10 years? For everything that I do over the next 10 years, I get a free pass. I get a Monopoly get-out-of-jail-free card because Joe Biden has preemptively pardoned me for 10 years of crimes that I may or may not commit going forward. It's good to be a Democrat, isn't it? And the news media, they love it. Their tongues are wagging. Oh, look, Joe Biden pardoned everybody that attacked Republicans while they're in office. They abused their powers. They targeted the political enemies of the Democratic Party. And now the Democratic Party is abusing their power again to give them all pardons preemptively. Preemptively. Isn't this amazing? And they say it's because they fear retribution. And we were talking about this morning in the meeting, the word retribution in the liberal to English translation dictionary, which I'm going to write one of these days. The translation from retribution is accountability. Okay, see, the English word for the Democrat word retribution, the English word is accountability. And the Democrat Party is hell-bent on making sure that no one is held accountable because they've all abused their powers from the FBI and the intelligence community. Oh, one of my favorite things is President Trump. It has been reported more than once now. President Trump is going to pull the security clearances of the 51 corrupt, filthy, fake intelligence officials like penitentiary face Brennan, who's a Communist Party voter, literally true Communist Party voter, and Barack Obama made him CIA director, and then Anthony Blinken, our current Secretary of State, leading the charge when he was a member of the Biden campaign to get the intelligence officials to sign on to a big lie. The big lie was that the New York Post reporting, which should have gotten the Nobel Peace Prize, and what else? The Pulitzer should have gotten, like Kendrick Lamar. If Kendrick Lamar gets a Pulitzer Prize, then the New York Post should have gotten the Pulitzer and Nobel Peace Prize, and for science, the Nobel Prize for science as well. Why not? And they should get an Emmy. Why not? And amazing stuff. The Joe Biden is pardoning everybody, and that's fine. The news media loves it, and they use weasel words all over the place. So the headline at the Fox News Channel, Biden pardons Mark Milley. We just call him Mark Milley, not chairman of the Joint Chiefs, because Democrats, it's all a circle fest and a hot tub. They're all on a first-name basis. They hand their daughters over to, the other. It's a Democrat thing you wouldn't understand. That's where monkeypox comes from, by the way. Now, Biden pardons Mark Milley. Why? What crimes did he commit? Anthony Fauci. What is he guilty of? Why would you pardon innocent people? J6 committee members. And I guess that means all of them, but they don't. And not only that, but staff as well. Speculation world that Trump could open investigations on Fauci and others. And so they preemptively, knowing that they've committed crimes, apparently, you've been pardoned. You know what? Let's put him on trial and have the witnesses anyway, and let's carry him live on TV, because I think we all want to hear from these people, don't we? And then after they're found guilty as hell, what is that? It's like, more Mel Brooks stuff. They just guilty as hell. And when we find them guilty as hell, then they're already pardoned, so they can walk away smirking like the communist country that the Democrat Party is looking to visit upon us. Now, President Biden pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and others who some speculated may have faced investigations under the incoming Trump administration on Monday. Now, here's the thing. If they're investigated for crimes and they're found to have committed crimes, well, Joe Biden has said, that's fine. We're glad you committed crimes. We're going to reward you. We're going to, in fact, your new private security is going to be Lieutenant Byrd from the U.S. Capitol Police, who'll shoot any unarmed woman, any Air Force veteran without warning, just for trespassing too close to you. That's how tough the Democrats have gotten. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. The Biden pardons come just hours before he is set to depart the White House, and President-elect Trump takes the oath of office once again. The pardon also applies to a litany of people involved in the January 6th Select Committee investigation. In addition to the named individuals, the pardon applies, and they named, and then there are people who are not even named. Everybody over there. Everybody standing over there gets a pardon forever. In addition to the named individuals, the pardon applies to, quote, members of Congress and staff who served on the Select Committee and the U.S. Capitol and D.C. Metropolitan Police officers who testified before the Select Committee. Sure, anybody. And so if you committed perjury up the yin-yang, you've been pardoned for your perjury. It doesn't matter whether you lied under oath. You know, like General James Clapper. He was one of the 51 signatories to they're the Felonious 51, as they're called. And they corrupted the presidential election in 2020 by running what the intelligence community calls an information operation against the American people. Aren't they amazing? Yes, sir. So they all get pardons because that's how corrupt the Democrat Party is. And if you voted for this filthy kind of corruption, then really there are lots of B-poll countries you could move to that are already B-polls, where third world banana republic, Carmen Miranda hat-wearing, rifle-toting dictators are in charge, because that's what you guys want. If you think this is a good idea, that's what you want. And you keep voting for this, and be more murder, more Venezuelan gang members showering with your daughter in junior high. Don't worry about it. Notably, Special Counsel Jack Smith, the former FBI Director Christopher Wray, and Attorney General Merrick Garland are not included in the pardon, despite speculation that they may face backlash from the incoming administration. Again, backlash is a Democrat Party word that means accountability, but they don't believe in accountability. They believe in getting away with it. Come on, what good is corrupting the entire judicial system and the Justice Department and the FBI and the intelligence community if you're not going to get away with murder at every turn and then be pardoned by your dim-witted, brain-damaged, corrupt money man known as Joe Biden, President of the United States? They like to call him POTUS because it sounds more sexual in some way. Fauci accepted the pardon in a statement shortly after Biden announced the move, claiming he was subject to, quote, politically motivated threats of investigation and prosecution, end quote. That's what he said. Isn't that amazing? And he says, let me be perfectly clear, Anthony Fauci. I have committed no crime. Oh, we'll see about that, mister. And there are no possible grounds for any allegations. That's what Trump thought. And then Democrats in New York lynched him and found him guilty of 34 felonies for, what was that, a non-disclosure agreement? And did the money come from a campaign fund or a personal fund? Is that 34 felonies? Because, buddy, you guys have pulled the justice sock inside out. And now, I mean, once again, it's like they have 550 riots from coast to coast. And then January 6th is a big deal, right? That's it. Now, you guys you show up outside Roger Stone's house with the FBI for a pre-dawn raid and go crashing through the doors with a CNN camera crew in tow. You raid Mar-a-Lago and bring staged materials to stage photos, your classified documents, cover sheets. You stage the scene, then you photograph it, then you feed it to the anti-Trump press, and you applaud yourselves. You get awards for this at the FBI. You have corrupted our government, the FBI, the Justice Department, the intelligence community, and now if there is to be any accountability, they angrily lash out and call it retribution. I've committed no crime. Yeah, what was Trump found guilty of again? The money for a non-disclosure agreement, which every network and every newspaper has entered into with women time and again, but never mind that. So, Anthony Fauci, let me be perfectly clear, I've committed no crime, and there are no possible grounds for any allegations or threat of criminal investigation or prosecution of me. I guess you haven't been following the news for the last 5 years. Isn't that amazing? The fact is, however, that the mere articulation of these baseless threats sounds familiar. I've heard this from a dozen Republicans that were thrown in jail by our Banana Republic Democrat Party government, and the potential that they may be acted upon create immeasurable and intolerable distress for me and my family. I smell a civil suit coming here. For these reasons, I acknowledge and appreciate the action that President Biden has taken today on my behalf. Thoroughly Modern Millie was also very thrilled. Now, what did he do? I remember he was on the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was on the phone with General Lee in Communist China, L.I., not Robert E. Lee, who also fought for the Democrat Party side, Jefferson Davis, because they're the party of slavery, the Democrat Party, and Jim Crow. But never mind that. They're the party of letting their criminal pals get away with everything. And Thoroughly Modern Millie, he's on the, I won't let Trump use nuclear weapons on you. I'm sorry, what? What are you talking about, Millie? Amazing stuff. So today is Inauguration Day. We're actually now minutes, depending on how you want to count the minutes, away from President Trump being inaugurated President of the United States, taking the oath of office, being sworn in. And I want you to stay right there because there's a lot to cover. America 2025. We are at 888-630-9625. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. Van Jones, another Communist Party, self-described Communist Party member. A lot of the people that, John Brennan, the CIA director, and Van Jones, and the list goes on. Bernie Sanders says he's just a socialist like Stalin, All right, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Jason calling from Kensington, Maryland. Jason, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
G'day, Chris. How you going, mate?
Just great, Chase. What do you know?
Much great day to have this historical event. But, this whole pardons thing just sort of reiterates and reinforces that what we knew all along, and they basically are coming out now and admitting, yep, we did commit a crime, but you're not going to charge us for it. And it's just such a slap in the face of all these people who, for the last 8 years, have been, called conspiracy theorists and all this sort of thing. So, but then again, nothing's going to happen to these people, which is the worst thing. I mean, they should at least have their security clearance taken away. That would be the good thing to do.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I love the fact, Jason, that President Trump has said he's going to strip the felonious 51 from that phony letter that was the first ever. And again, I covered the CIA for 10 years in my previous life when I was assigned to the Pentagon. My office was in the Pentagon for 10 years. And when I saw that felonious 51 letter, I got it while we were on the air, and I read right through their BS the first read through. But these people tampered with our presidential election on purpose by running an information operation, the intelligence term, against the American people. It was a disinformation effort. It was orchestrated by the current Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, who was with the Biden campaign at the time, got these crooked CIA people to sign on to it. Dana Bash's ex-husband, Jeremy Bash. President Trump says he's going to strip all 51 of them of their security clearances, which means their fancy $1 million jobs may just have to go away. All right, so all Democrats in America have been pardoned for whatever crimes you have committed, and we know they are many, numerous. But it's not clear whether Joe Biden has pardoned you going forward or not. He's only pardoned me for the next 10 years, any crime I may have committed. And every registered Democrat has now been pardoned by Joe Biden because we're more like Yemen than we've ever been. The left, the Dems. All right, Michael, let's go back. It is Inauguration Day in Washington, D.C., and we're not too far away. We've got from the actual swearing in and the inaugural speech, big day. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris leave the city of Washington, perhaps never to return, if we could be so lucky. But here's the thing. One of the schedules I read said they traditionally leave the president and the outgoing president, outgoing vice president, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, traditionally leave the Capitol by helicopter. And it turns out Joe Biden will be leaving by helicopter, but Kamala's going to have to walk over to Union Station and get on a regional train with a ticket she buys at the window because the Democrat Party has really kicked her to the curb. No helicopter for you. You will get no helicopter. You will walk to train station. You go now. Get her an Uber. Maybe she can call an Uber or a Lyft. Save a couple of dollars, save a couple of tax dollars. Remarkable stuff. President Trump will sleep in the White House again tonight. I believe he stayed at Blair House last night, the guest house across the street from the White House with a storied history, a wonderful house. Been there a few times myself for parties and things with my best girl. Learned all kinds of stuff, which I won't share now. Some of it had to do with Soviet leaders and collecting intelligence on them, but we'll get that another time. So it is Inauguration Day at long last, and Joe Biden is leaving at long last, the end of an era and all that good stuff. And Kamala, she might be the next governor of California. Gavin Newsom is term limited by his hair gel company, and they've got complete control over the California governor's mansion, and he's got to go. So Kamala, they just go from bad to worse. They're committing suicide in California, and if Kamala became the governor, that's right now they're holding the baby under the water in the bassinet, and Kamala could come along and really finish the job on California. Just become a Spanish-speaking hellhole, former successful state in the United States of America. Maybe we should just turn it over to merry old Mexico. President Trump is going to sign, they're saying, up to 200 executive orders. Some of them are going to be bundled. A single executive order will contain a number of orders, and a lot of them are a big deal. I've got to say, a big deal. No, that's right. He's not announced the pardon of his brother James yet, which is pretty weird. Again, I think there must be some childhood rivalry that Joe Biden's been waiting for to get revenge. Amazing. Maybe it's a shakedown of his brother James. Maybe James has got to fork over money or a house or something like that before Joe issues him a pardon. Maybe Joe just wants his brother prosecuted for his many crimes, collecting the millions of dollars from overseas in China and Ukraine and Russia. And they spread it around among family members. How many? 19 family members, I think, got money from the pool. But President Trump today, executive orders that have already been announced, is going to end Joe Biden's catch and release of illegal alien gang members that want to murder your whole family. The Democrats want your whole family murdered. Donald Trump and conservatives do not. President Trump today in executive actions will declare a national border emergency, He will direct the United States military to work with the Department of Homeland Security to secure our southern border. Joe Biden, of course, likes funding Hamas and Iran. He's not on our side. Going to pause all offshore wind leases, windmills, which were invented in Persia more than 1,000 years ago. And the Democrats see it as the future of energy, right? Because they're not exactly like thoroughly modern Millie. They're not people of the 21st century. They like antiquity. They live in the Civil War era when, for the Democrats, that was the good old days of the Confederate States of America. Those were the Democrat states of America, by the way. And windmills. Yeah, the windmills are the future. No, they're not. So pause all offshore wind leases. And how many whales did they kill just off the coast of New Jersey? I think more than Japan. I think the Democrat Party killed more whales than Japan killed in the same time frame. Going to terminate the electric vehicle mandate because they've mandated, Democrats don't care what you do as long as it's mandatory. And everything that they don't want to ban, they want to make mandatory. They're not like normal Western people. They're the left. They're not liberals at all. So terminate the electric vehicle mandate and abolish the Green New Deal. Abolish the Green New Deal, which again comes with a whole a panoply of mandates, if you will. a veritable cornucopia of mandates. They love mandates. They sure do. And spankings. They love spankings as well. Withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, which puts ridiculous mandates on the United States that no other countries are required to fulfill or follow. And the Chinese communists continue to build coal-burning plants all over China so that their child slaves can, work their fingers to the bone until they're knotty nubs, and, making iPhones for you and batteries with 50 toxins in their mind by child labor in Africa. And they all applaud that because they're not on the side of civilization. So withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, which is ridiculous. And under Trump, we reduced our CO2 output more than any other country. We had these COVID shutdowns and stuff, but we reduced. We were the big winners, and we were energy independent. And then Joe Biden blew all that up like he's a terrorist or something. I mean, honestly, these people, There is a Marine helicopter waiting on the east front of the United States Capitol that will cart Joe Biden over to Joint Base Andrews, formerly known as Andrews Air Force Base. And I got to say, watching President Trump moving this morning with his motorcade from St. John's Church to Blair House and the tents and the tent tunnels, security has been dialed up. And one of the discussions flying around Washington, D.C., and this came up on Friday, and I made mention of it on Friday when they announced they were moving the inauguration inside the Capitol Rotunda. How much of this is about security and how much of it is about weather? Got to say, in Washington today, it's chilly, and it's cold. It's in the 20s, and with the wind chill, it's going to be 9 degrees or something like that. It's cold, but it's a sunny day. There's a breeze. It doesn't look like the wind is howling or anything like that. It wasn't when I came in. And how much of this has to do with security? If that's a question that you've been pondering, I got to say, look at President Trump's security, former and incoming President Trump's security, President-elect Trump's security for another couple of hours. And I've got to say, it's dialed up to 11. When you're on Pennsylvania Avenue in front of the White House and you're going into Blair House, normally you don't have to take this level of security precautions. You don't see this level a lot, even with moving the president to all kinds of events indoors and outdoors. Remember Trump outside at Butler, Pennsylvania. You didn't have this kind of security, not by a long, long shot, I've got to say. So President Trump, back to his executive actions, who are many. So withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord, which disadvantages the United States in ways that it does not disadvantage other countries, any other countries. And that's because the Democrat Party negotiated this stuff at Davos and, at Aspen and, with the Circle Fest of lefties who are anti-energy. They're anti-nuclear energy. They're anti-hydroelectric energy. They're anti-coal-fired plants. They're anti all known forms of energy on planet Earth, except windmills going back to Iran in the 9th century. But setting that aside, delayed the U.S. TikTok ban, which President Trump has already done, so TikTok is active again, and that's complicated, I suppose, but fear not. Priority is going to be to eliminate criminal cartels in the United States, and there's good stuff associated with this. The Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang, and you got the Medellin people, the Cali cartel, the Sinaloa cartel, got all these cartels, crazy stuff. And he's going to close the border to illegal aliens via proclamation, a presidential proclamation. Create a task force to protect Homeland Security, that's a good idea. And as I understand it, he's going to declare these cartels to be terrorist organizations, which means that other actions can be taken against them, including possibly military actions in Mexico. If they're terrorists, designated as terrorists, then can't you go after the head of the Sinaloa cartel like he's the head of Al-Qaeda? And questions remain to be answered about all of that. But classified drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, kind of a big deal. reinstitute the Remain in Mexico policy, suspend entry of illegal aliens across the southwest border, which the Democrats are waiving, and they've been flying people in over our borders and stuff, all kinds of crazy things going on. Fully unleash Alaskan energy. You know, we've been trying to get into and extract oil from the ANWR, the Alaskan Wildlife Refuge, the National Wildlife Refuge, ANWR, for like 30 years or something like that. The area that they want to develop is about 2,000 acres, keeping in mind that Alaska is the size of all of Western Europe. All right? And they're talking about 2,000 acres. Dulles Airport outside of Washington, D.C. is 12,000 acres. So the area of the ANWR that we want to extract oil from is 1/6 the size of Dulles Airport in Virginia. And the Democrats have fought against it hammer and sickle for generations now to try to keep us from securing energy independence and cheap gasoline because they want you to use less. They can afford it. They don't care. They'll buy another Tesla, whatever. But isn't that amazing? So President Trump says the Alaska fully unleash, and I assume that means ANWR too, Alaskan energy. You know, Joe Biden just banned all offshore on the East Coast and the Gulf of Mexico and parts of Alaska, banned all energy exploration because they're anti-us. But President Trump, energy independence again. We live on inexpensive and abundant energy in Western civilization. In fact, anywhere in civilization where there is civilization, there is abundant and available and affordable energy, and the left is against that. President Trump, in executive orders today, will return federal workers to in-person work. That means more traffic coming into Washington in the morning, and the subways are going to be busier. So they can use their Donald Trump commemorative subway cards, which Michael Piercy brought in last week, and they're excellent. I've been going around showing people all weekend long. Good stuff. So return federal workers. I call them employees because I'm not a communist. To in-person work. Establish biological sex definition. You know, we did that centuries ago in Western civilization, but in the United States, we cracked the genetic code, you know, XX versus XY and all that stuff. But the Democrats have undone science. And DEI programs across the federal government. Some of the things that President Trump will be signing a law with executive orders today. All right, now let's go back to the phones, Michael. Let's go to Kevin calling from Alexandria, Virginia. And Kevin just dropped. Let's go to Diane calling from Davidsonville, Maryland. Diane, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hi, how you doing?
Just great, Diane.
I am calling because I don't understand why we are accepting all of these actions from pardons from Biden, and why we aren't exploring the premise that he was mentally unfit and therefore out of state of mind in order to enact all of these pardons.
I love that. Are you an attorney?
No, I'm not. I'm just somebody with common sense, and it's really making me angry with Mike Johnson. Knew about this a year ago. Can we get everybody up there to testify their experiences with him, declare him unfit, and so therefore he was unstable and can't make these pardons and reverse all of them or just negate all of them. It's driving me crazy.
I think you're a genius. I think that you should get an honorary law degree from the Harvard University School of Law. Ellen Dershowitz should present it to you because, Diane, I think that's great. Have him declared to be not of sound mind and body when these legal decisions were made. And I know that there are instances, in wills and things, if a person is deemed to be not of sound mind, that the will can be declared null and void.
Yeah, and I don't understand why nobody's pursuing this. We're just accepting this like a bunch of idiots.
Well, now because of you, Diane, I'm advocating it, and I think all of America needs to push to declare these pardons to be null and void because Joe Biden is not of sound mind, and these decisions were not made by he's non compos mentis. Therefore, the question is moot, as Jesse Jackson would say. Diane, wonderful. So glad that we picked up with you. 888-630-9625. Happy Inauguration Day.
The overriding theme here is a return to common sense and a return to accountability and efficiency in government. I think that's going to serve the people well.
Inauguration Day in Washington, D.C., 2025. Not since Grover Cleveland has a president been sworn into a second term, not consecutive, contiguous with his first term, but isn't that amazing? President Trump is going to become the 47th president of the United States, which is pretty cool. And the last one, Grover Cleveland, I mentioned the other day, we have a neighborhood in Washington, D.C. called Cleveland Park, and it's not too far from this radio station down toward the National Cathedral. It is named Cleveland Park because President Grover Cleveland left the presidency, went to this neighborhood, moved into a house there, built it up, and lived in the neighborhood for a period of time. Cleveland Park, Washington, D.C., but Grover Cleveland was the 22nd president of the United States, starting in 1893, and he was president until 1897, and then he was unelected, and he came back and was re-elected again. Excuse me, I read that correctly, but they've got the two non-consecutive terms, and 1885, and then again 1885, 1889. In office as president, and then voted out the Benjamin Harrison. Then he came back to be president again. Pretty amazing stuff. He was governor of New York. He was the mayor of Buffalo, New York. He was in politics for a long time. He had been the sheriff of Erie County, and then the 22nd and 24th president of the United States. Now, President Trump, the only person outside of Grover Cleveland to have two non-consecutive terms, 45th and 47th president of the United States. Kind of a big deal, I've got to say. Yes, sir. What a country it is we have here. And all the Democrats are being pardoned for their crimes. What do you need a pardon for if you didn't commit any crimes? Oh, it's just precautionary, they're telling us. It's just a precaution. The news media applauds it.